Imagine a team with Pelé, Franz Beckenbauer and Carlos Alberto in their side. You just know that team would rule an entire league. And so it did, quite a few years ago. This is the story of the New York Cosmos, who were once the biggest team in the United States but have since seen a sad downfall. The New York Cosmos, most of you probably have never even heard of them. As it's already in the name, the Cosmos, as that was their nickname, was a professional football club based in New York City in the United States. I say were, but they do actually still exist, but I will talk about that later in this video. Let me tell you who were the original New York Cosmos first. The Cosmos were founded in December of 1970. The team played in the North American Soccer League, the NASL, from 1971 onwards till 1984. This was the highest football division in the United States from 1968 to 1984. In the Cosmos' first year in the NASL, they finished second in the regular season and ended up reaching the semi-finals of the playoffs. So the club did very well in their first season. But this wasn't too surprising to many people, as the owner of the Cosmos was Steve Ross, who was the president of Warner Communications. The New York Cosmos were by far one of the best teams in the league in terms of competitiveness and financially, immediately from their first season. In the second season in the NASL, the Cosmos finished first in the regular season and ended up winning the playoffs as well, winning their first national title in the club's history. In 1973, the third season of the Cosmos in the NASL, they finished in another second place and once again ended up in the semi-finals of the playoffs. In 1974, another year later, they finished fourth in the regular season, which meant they were last place in their division. The Northern Division, which was the group that the New York Cosmos played in, at the time consisted of just 4 teams. But, to everyone's surprise, the New York Cosmos bought the one and only Pelé during the 1975 season. The Brazilian icon, the Brazilian all-time leading goalscorer, the 3-time World Cup winner and arguably the best football player of all time, went to the Cosmos. I'm not gonna lie, I thought he played his entire career at Santos. Anyway, the Cosmos were attempting to sign him since the team was created. Steve Ross, the owner, had apparently not heard of him before getting involved in the world of football, but agreed to use his money to get Pelé to sign for the Cosmos, after Clive Toye, who was the club's first recruit when they were founded, compared Pelé's popularity to the Pope, to give a better explanation to Steve Ross of who Pelé actually was. Pelé had a massive salary of $1.4 million per year, which was of course a huge wage for an athlete at that time. Gavin Newsom, an English writer, later described this incredible transfer as the transfer coup of the century. Pelé's arrival changed the New York Cosmos from a mix of foreigners, semi-professionals and students into a huge commercial presence. Pelé's arrival changed the New York Cosmos from a mix of foreigners, semi-professionals and students into a huge commercial presence. After hearing the news that Pelé would make his debut and this would be broadcasted on CBS, the club's groundsman spray painted the pitch green to disguise how little grass was actually on it. This match was broadcasted to 22 countries and covered by more than 300 journalists from all over the world. Even though Pelé signed for the club, the first season with him was a disappointment. The Cosmos finished third in their division, which was not enough to qualify for the playoffs. A change of manager and the signing of Italian forward Giorgio Chinaglia would need to help the club do better in the following season, however. Chinaglia arrived from Lazio Roma, where he scored over 120 goals in almost 250 games. He was so popular at Lazio that when his move to New York was announced, supporters threatened to throw themselves beneath the wheels of the plane, to of course not see the deal go through. A similar trend that occurs in the MLS nowadays is that they sign players who are past their prime and who are basically there to enjoy a few years of America and retire after. The same was with the NASL at the time. However, Chinaglia was actually a player who was still in his prime when he arrived in New York. He went on to play for the Cosmos for the rest of the club's history and scored a record number of goals for the Cosmos, 193 in total. This has made him the all-time top goalscorer of the NASL as well. He apparently shared a very good personal bond with Steve Ross, the owner of the club, and was therefore treated differently from the other players, even including Pelé. There were a few other European and South American international players who got signed in the same period, which led to the attendance figures growing once again. And after all of these signings, the performances improved and the New York Cosmos finished second in the regular season's group but ended up losing to Tampa Bay Rowdies in the playoffs. From 1977 onwards, the club dropped the New York part of their name and simply played as the Cosmos, as they relocated to the newly constructed Giants Stadium in New Jersey. Well, that lasted until the city's name was restored in 1979. Pelé's Brazilian compatriot and former Brazil captain Carlos Alberto was signed in 1977. This was at the same time when Franz Beckenbauer, who captained the 1974 World Cup winning West German national team, signed for the club. After these two incredible signings, the Cosmos did very well, finally winning the NASL title in 1977 with Pelé, Beckenbauer and Carlos Alberto in the squad. No surprise they managed to actually win the title. A playoff game against the Fort Lauderdale Strikers in 1977 managed to get a crowd of 77,691 people, a record for American club football at the time. The average attendance of the Cosmos were the biggest in the league, regularly getting over 40,000 people. This helped the club being seen as the league's marquee club, both commercially and competitively. Pelé played his last professional football match on October 1st, 1977. It was an exhibition match between the New York Cosmos and his former club, Santos. Pelé appeared for both sides, playing one half for each. The Cosmos won the game 2-1. During Pelé's farewell tour in 1977, the Cosmos made history by becoming the first Western professional football team to play in China. The Cosmos also won the NASL title in 1978 and 1980. 3 out of 4 championship titles in the last 4 years is not a bad record at all. After Pelé's retirement in 1977, the status of the club and the league wasn't the same anymore. There was no star of the same level as Pelé who could replace him and be the league's headline man. Attendances started to drop after 1980, which made the sport's popularity fell and the media lost interest. Even a deal with broadcaster ABC to show the NASL matches live was also lost in 1980. The 1981 Soccer Bowl, which was basically the final of the players, was only shown on tape delay. Many franchises quickly became unprofitable and a new salary cap rule that was set in place before the 1984 season only delayed the inevitable. The league folded at the end of 1984 after the loss of most of its clubs already. Even the Cosmos had financial problems, on top of the financial problems that were affecting the league in general already. The club won its last title in 1982 and even missed the playoffs for the first time in 7 years in 1984, the last season of the NASL. The Cosmos' ability to attract the well-known international stars was due to the financial resources of Steve Ross and its company Warner Communications. In the early 1980s, Warner Communications was even the target of a hostile takeover, although this attempt did not succeed. Warner sold several of its assets. Among them was Global Soccer, which was a subsidiary of Warner, basically a smaller company which still falls under Warner. Giorgio Chinaglia, the forward who came from Lazio, ended up buying Global Soccer and so controlled the team basically. However, he did not have the finances to keep all of the players who were on expensive contracts, which led to many of the star players being sold. The decline of the Cosmos after the 1983 season, and especially after not reaching the playoffs in the 1984 season, showed a lot of fans and media the downfall that was happening in the entirety of the NASL. It was officially the end of the NASL and the New York Cosmos. The original New York Cosmos stopped competing in 1985, but there were various attempts to try and revive the club. With the rise of the Major League Soccer, which had its first season in 1996, there were a few New York area entities who were trying to purchase the Cosmos name, including 2 different ownership groups from the New York Red Bulls. Pepe Pinton, the owner of the Cosmos at the time, however, refused to sell it to another MLS team as he believed that the league would not acknowledge the legacy of the club. But when old NASL names such as the San Jose Earthquakes, Seattle Sounders, Portland Timbers and Vancouver Whitecaps were actually revived as MLS franchises, Pinton reconsidered. He sold the Cosmos name and brand to English businessman Paul Kemsley in 2009. Kemsley was previously the director of Tottenham Hotspur. Pelé was immediately called the honorary president, and in 2011 the club signed Eric Cantona as technical director of the club. The intention was to bring the newly found Cosmos back to the first division in America. But when there was actually an invitation to apply to join the MLS, New York City FC paid $100 million to get a license and to play in the MLS from 2015 onwards. And so New York City FC joined the MLS instead of the New York Cosmos. Cantona left his job in 2012. The new New York Cosmos instead joined a new second-tier incarnation of the NASL, which had its first season in 2011, and the Cosmos joined in 2013. The newly found Cosmos actually won the NASL, which was now the second division of America of course, in 2013, 15 and 16. In October 2014, the club finally signed a big European player again in Raúl, the Real Madrid icon of course. Just a few months later, the club tried to sign Samuel Eto'o as well, but the striker from Cameroon chose to stay in Europe. In late 2016, there were reports indicating that the newly found Cosmos lost over $30 million since they joined the NASL in 2013. Various media outlets reported that the Cosmos had released all players and coaching staff from their contracts. Cosmos supporters did try to help by launching an online campaign to raise funds for affected employees. Just 3 days later, most of the club's employees were officially fired. The club were a few hours of going out of business entirely before there was an agreement to a private equity firm, which eventually didn't even get finalized as Rocco Commisso, a cable television executive, wanted to buy the club and so found an agreement with the New York Cosmos in January 2017. His investment made sure that the club could compete in the 2017 NASL season, where the Cosmos finished 4th in a group of 8 teams. The Cosmos ended up as runners-up in the playoffs, losing the final 2-0 to the San Francisco Deltas. The next season of the NASL however was cancelled, as the league couldn't find 12 teams that were needed to keep the league membership, and the league could no longer be seen as the second division. When this was announced, the Cosmos took a hiatus, which is basically a long break. Cosmos returned to the pitch in 2019 in a friendly against German side St. Pauli. In November 2019, the club announced they were joining the NASA for their fall 2020 season. The NASA is the third division in America, which the New York Cosmos is currently still playing in. And that is the story of the New York Cosmos. What was once the highlight of football in the United States, having multiple legends playing for the club and a big financial resource to help sign these players, is now an almost forgotten team in the third tier of America. From Pelé, Franz Beckenbauer, Carlos Alberto and even Johan Cruyff, who actually only played a few test games for the club in 1978 and ended up signing for the Los Angeles Aztecs, to a mix of semi-professional and amateur players playing on a low level in America. For my career mode fans, this is possibly one of the best creative club ideas to do in FIFA 22 career mode. Definitely give it a try. I hope you enjoyed the story about the New York Cosmos, and if you did, be sure to press the follow button and give it a 5-star rating, and I will see you at the next story.